Beth, hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So this is the first time you and I have actually had a full-on conversation about PCSing over to Italy, and I've never actually even done any content about PCS in Italy. So you're the first person that's going to help many, many families transition over there. We're going to go through it all, okay?
Great.
Okay, so the first question I always ask everyone, I got all my notes over here, so forgive me for looking up and down here, but
Mine are down here. So,
okay, we're good then. As long as the content is out there, we're good. So, okay, let's just get into the whole icebreaker thing right now. Like, who are you? What do you do? And who did you come to Italy with?
I am Beth Cameron. I am from Alabama. My husband is from Australia, but he is a member of the U.S. Air Force. And we moved from Florida as our last duty station here to Italy 3 years ago.
Okay, and you guys are at which duty station in Italy?
We are located here at Aviano Air Base.
Gotcha. Okay, and I had to do some research because I don't know too much about Aviano, but I see that's in the north, obviously, right?
Yes. So Aviano is located in northeastern Italy. It is kind of in the foothills of the Dolomites, more in the countryside, but it's only an hour drive or train ride from Venice. And it's only a 2 hour drive to Austria, Slovenia, and Croatia as well.
And you have a large family, I have seen online.
I do. We have 4 children and we are expecting our fifth child this November.
Okay, awesome. So you know a thing or two about moving over there with kids.
Yes.
Okay, we will get into that.
Yeah, we will.
I do a lot of PCS to Germany stuff, but I'm transitioning over to Italy. And one of the most popular blog posts that I have is the 30 things that you must know before PCSing to Germany. So I'm going to do that whole same thing and use it as like a framework for PCS in Italy as well. So I always start with expectations, right? So we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about expectations, moving over to Italy in general. You know what I mean? I don't know how much you know about the other bases over there, but just kind of in general expectations of moving over to Italy. So the Aviano footprint, right? So like location wise, if you know anything about the population of the actual military people there, could you kind of just walk us through like what are we going to expect, just moving into this northern Italy area with Aviano?
So coming to Aviano Air Base, they're located in more of a rural area. And as I stated earlier, we're close to, it's called the foothills of the Dolomites. So it's not the huge, massive portion of the mountains, but the smaller mountains, but they're still massive. Okay. And we're also 2 hours from Austria, Croatia, and Slovenia driving, and 1 hour train or driving to Venice. As far as personnel, there is about 5,000 personnel on base, and that includes the military as well as local nationals who work on the base, as well as contractors and government DoD jobs.
Yeah.
That does not include their families and dependents who also come with them. It is a small base, and I feel like the community is pretty tight knit. Most of the times you walk around base and you get to know people's faces, even though you've never met them, you've kind of seen everyone before.
Everybody's going to the DX, to the post office, to the conference.
Exactly. You see them all at the base events. So everyone becomes familiar, even if you haven't met them before. There are a lot of outdoor activities available. We have a ski resort, only like 25 minutes, Pioncavallo, 25 minutes from base, tons of hiking. There is a town called Barchis that has a beautiful lake where you can kayak and paddleboard. So if you love being outdoors, there's so much available for you to do here.
I live kind of in the similar area over here in Germany where it's very rural, and we came from San Francisco. So we're used to a huge city,
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's not a lot of traffic there because is it more like farming, rural area?
A lot of vineyards, a lot of farmlands around, all around the base.
Okay, so then that probably means that the roads are smaller, yeah?
The roads are smaller, but smaller in the fact that it's mostly 2-lane roads. You won't have 3 or 4 lane roads. occasionally a turning lane. But other than that, the traffic doesn't build up too bad. No matter where you live, it's pretty easy to commute to and from the base. The main city is Pordenone, and it's a bit bigger, and you may have more traffic in that area. It is considered the biggest city close to us.
And then in terms of like where people live from Aviano, would you say the commutes are what, 20, 30 minutes away? Or do people live actually further away?
Some people do choose to live further away, but it's less common. The max commute, I feel like, is 30 minutes. Although we had friends that lived an hour away just because they chose that and it was the perfect house for them. But that is very uncommon. Most people choose to live close to base. We luckily are only 10 minutes from base. And I don't know if you know, Aviano Air Base is actually split up into different areas.
No.
So there are two main areas for Aviano Air Base, and that's Area F and Area 1. And different people work on the different areas. There are other areas as well, but there's less people who work in those areas. Area F contains the commissary, the BX, the post office, the gyms, the airman dorms. It is the largest area. It also has the running track and some parks. And then Area 1 is smaller, but it contains the schools as well as the medical buildings and another BX, but that is smaller and contains more of the furniture and outdoor items.
Oh, okay.
You know how BXs will have like different areas and one part will be the outside part?
Yeah.
That's on a completely separate area, Area 1 instead of Area F.
Got it.
So that can be confusing for people. When they're coming, they want to figure out which area they're going to work on, because that will determine your commute. They are close to each other. It's only like a 8-minute drive from one area to the other.
You have to go off base to go to the other spot.
You have to go off base to commute to the other area, and then you'll do the process again of entering base.
Okay.
So that's something interesting that we didn't know before we moved here. And some people like to choose their house where it's closer to Area F because the service member is working on Area F. Others want to be closer to Area 1. Even though they are still close together, the surrounding areas can be farther away from one or the other area.
And do they have transportation, like a bus that goes, like a free transportation that goes from base to base? They have that out here.
I believe they do have a shuttle. I've never used it, so I'm not 100% sure, but I believe a shuttle is offered, especially for airmen who don't have their own transportation.
Okay, got it. Before I forget, you skipped over this, and I want to highlight this for everyone, right? I asked you what you do, and the reason why I asked that question is because
I forgot.
No, that's okay. That's okay, because I want to highlight you because, I've been over here for 10 years in Germany, right? And I'm as a military content creator, and there's not that many, right? Like we were talking earlier, like it's not a sustainable job, not a sustainable thing because you're not here for that long. 3 to 5 years is the average for folks over here in Germany. It probably is the same over there in Italy. But you are a content creator as well. And that's how I found you, right? And you are providing some super valuable information to people, to help Americans and to Italians out there, to give a kind of a perspective on what it's like as, an American with a large family living over there in Italy, all the culture shock stuff, and all the things that we're actually going to be talking about throughout these series of videos. So I want to give kudos to you on that, because my eye is always looking for spouses that are doing that type of stuff. Yeah. So I saw you on Instagram. I didn't realize you were on TikTok as well, but yeah, I noticed you on Instagram, and I was super impressed. And I thought, I have to talk to this girl, and she can help me, and help a lot of other incoming families with some content. So did you want to say anything about any of that, or like?
Yeah, I'm glad you remembered. I forgot that I didn't even answer that portion of the question. But yes, I am a content creator. And I've been posting about differences between our lives and our home and lifestyle here in Italy compared to in the States, as well as just like family content, because that is my life. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and content creation is just something that I've gotten into since living here. And I really enjoy it. And I do hope that people find my content to be engaging and helpful, especially those who may be coming from the States to Italy.
Yeah, no, it is. I understand. I'm also a military spouse. I think a lot of people get the military spouse idea as just women, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm also a military. I used to be an Air Force officer like your husband, but I am a military spouse as well. And I understand that there's so much stress coming overseas, especially going from CONUS to OCONUS. The military doesn't do the greatest job of providing content out there consistently. 31 FSS, I got to give a shout out to them. They have a great website where it kind of just breaks down, all the ins and outs of PCSing over here and the different phases. You don't see that a lot in here in Germany, right? I'm not sure about all the other countries, but there's a lot of stress to that. And when you can get somebody that can consistently go on here and create this content for military families that are stressed, they've never done it before, this is their first time overseas, they don't know where to start. Like, I think that's like super valuable for folks coming over here. So I wanted to highlight that. So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, let's talk about the weather.
So for our weather, we do have 4 seasons. Every year is a little bit different, but it's, winter, like December through February or March. And then spring is like March through May, June. And then summer is June through like September, fall, September, up through November. And in the summertime, it does get very hot and humid. And that's something to consider because not all houses have the most efficient AC. And that may be something you want to ask about with housing. And then in winter, it's cold, but there isn't snow down here near Aviano Air Base.
Oh,
It can snow, but we do not get snow regularly or often. You do, however, see the snow in the mountains. And that's why there is a ski town, Piancavallo. And you can basically see when it snows up there, you're like, oh, maybe I can go ski and snowboard now. And then spring, sometimes you'll have lots of storms. So it may be very rainy. Last summer, we ended up having a lot of storms throughout the summer. So it was a cooler summer, but so much rain and storms. This summer, not as much. It's been very hot, very humid, and not as much rain. So it changes, but overall, I grew up in Alabama and it's very similar to where I grew up in Alabama. So it hasn't been a big adjustment for us personally.
okay. I want to get something clear because you said that some of the houses aren't as efficient with AC. Does that mean that some houses do have air conditioning?
Oh, yes, many. I actually think by the housing office, you are required to have AC in the home that you rent. So
Oh,
it is a split AC unit. It's not the same central air that you have in the States. I think housing requires that you have one AC unit on each floor, but some houses get away with less. Our house actually only has one AC unit on our top floor and none on the bottom floor. And we didn't even think about that when we moved in. So if AC is something that is important to you, definitely consider how many units the house has, where they are located, and also ask about the efficiency rating of the house because each house is given an efficiency rating on how well it can contain like the energy, the heat or the cold.
okay.
And that can give you an idea of how much your bills might be. I actually don't know the efficiency rating of our home, but it isn't great at keeping all of the cool air in summer.
Let's
In
give it
winter,
a
it's more
C plus.
expensive, but we've never been freezing cold. But in summer, we get hot.
Okay. Well, that's music to my ears because there's no AC in Germany. You
Really? Do you have to provide your own AC units if you want it?
I've got a little portable AC unit over there that is blowing air just into this room. Okay.
Wow. Many people here do buy extra AC units to supplement the AC in the home.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought that you guys did not have AC, so that's new news.
Yeah, it can be expensive to run it depending on your home,
Yeah.
but I believe it is required to have at least one AC unit in your home.
Okay, and that's also interesting to know about the snow over there because I knew that you were close to the mountains, so I just figured that it snowed there all the time every year.
Yeah, no, we love seeing the snow on the mountains, but it never comes down to the valley. Thankfully for me, actually.
Okay, all right.
So Aviano Air Base is not an American base. It is actually an Italian Air Force base. The Italians own the base and the Americans operate out of it. So that is something to consider as far as visitors coming. If we wanted to visit Ramstein Air Base in Germany, all we need is our ID cards to get onto Ramstein. Here at Aviano, you cannot do that. You have to apply to visit 30 days before you're actually going to a visit.
That's
And your visitor pass has to be approved by the Italian Air Force.
That's hilarious, because I cannot tell you how many times I get Germans who are angry that they cannot go on to the military bases over here. They want to try Taco Bell and, see the base and all that stuff, but they can't, right? They either need somebody that can sponsor them on, or they have to work on the base. So
yes, that's the same here. Italians actually cannot get onto the base either unless they are Italian Air Force or they work on base and have permission to go onto the base.
But me as an American, I have to also apply for a pass.
So if you wanted to go onto Aviano Air Base, you would have to ask me or my husband to apply for a visitor pass for you. And they get to approve or deny whether you are allowed to come onto base or not. So when family comes to visit, we have to do that process, submit their social security number, their passport, and their information of when they're coming to visit. And then they get approved to be able to go onto base, and that can be accompanied or unaccompanied. So for my parents, we just put unaccompanied. So if they want to drive onto base without us, they can. If it's accompanied, my husband or myself have to be with them and their visitor pass for them to enter base.
Wow, that is interesting. This is why we do this, because I had no idea that was a thing.
I didn't know that before moving here either. And I found out when I was having family come visit, and they didn't need to go onto base necessarily, but I have kids and I need to go to the store and these other things, and it's nice to have them with me. So we found out late, and I had to wait a week after they got here before we could pick up their visitor's pass, because it has to be done 30 days before. Wow. So there's little things like that you don't think about.
And then just a quick question on that. Who's checking IDs at the gate? Is it Italians or is it the American SF?
It is both. So we have our Air Force security forces checking IDs. They are typically the main ones, but there is always an Italian presence as well. Typically, you'll see one American service member and one Italian service member at the gate.
We can go into a lot of different areas and expectations, but this is your first time coming to Italy, right?
Yes.
So just kind of walk me through your thought process and what you expected when you came over here. And then where did you go to find information out about the base before you came?
So glad you brought that up.
Okay.
When we found out that we were coming to Italy, I thought, where do I go? Where do I look for? We searched YouTube. There wasn't anything. I searched on social media. There wasn't much. And so finally, I think I read somewhere, join Facebook groups.
Yeah.
So I had zero social media at the time. All of my old accounts I had deleted, and I had not had any social media for a year. I only re-downloaded my social media for moving to Italy, because everyone said, join this Facebook group and this one to gather information. And that is the most important thing I did before moving here, because these Facebook groups give you so much information and personal experience from others who have already been in your position.
For sure.
So the main one that I use is Aviano Spouses and Community.
Okay.
That one is very important. There's also another one called Aviano Community. And then one is not related to the Italian base, but there's a lot of information about PCSing, is PCS Like a Pro, Your Smooth Move. I believe is the full name of that Facebook page, because you can have all the checklist, but there's always going to be questions that come up about things that aren't on the checklist. Those Facebook groups, you go in, you don't even have to ask a question. You can just search your question in the search bar, and so much information will come up. Typically, I do that first. And then if the information is a little old, then I may post my question for new information from people.
Okay, that's funny, because that's the same thing with Germany. Same exact thing. So you kind of have to be on Facebook to get access to all this stuff, right? That's like my research tool. When I first started DTV, people were literally putting in the answers, the questions and the answers I needed to the videos I was making, on a various topics. And so I would go there and learn like, oh, okay, I didn't know this and that. And I would use that as research for whenever I did videos. So that's interesting. They're doing that. They do that in Italy as well. They probably do it in every country.
I think there is for every base.
Yeah.
Every base I've been to has had a page.
So that was like your lifesaver for the expectations and things that you needed to know before moving over here.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you'd recommend that people go do that now. They're probably still very active, right?
Yes, the pages are posted to every day. People post questions, recommendations. They'll also recommend other pages because there are specialized pages for different topics within the community. So if you join Aviano Spouses and Community, you can find so many other pages as well that are specified to different topics you may need information on.
Foodies, where you'll get a pizza.
Exactly. There's a foodies, there's a travel page, a pet page, a sitters page, a school page. There's something for everything.
Okay.